Mr. Small. Mr. Small was very small, probably the smallest person you ever seen in your whole life, or perhaps the smallest person you've never seen in your whole life, because he was so small you probably wouldn't see him anyway. Mr. Small was about as big as a pin, which isn't very big at all, so perhaps we should say that Mr. Small was as small as a pin. Mr. Small lives in a small house underneath a daisy at the bottom of Mr. Robin's garden. It was a very nice house, although very tiny, and it suited Mr. Small very well indeed. He liked living there. Now, this story is all about the time Mr. Small decided to get a job. The trouble was, what sort of job could Mr. Small do? After all, there are the many small jobs. Mr. Small had thought about it for a long time, but hadn't had any ideas. No one. He was thinking about it now while he was having lunch. He was having half of a pea, one crab, and a drop of lemonade. Mr. Small thought and thought while he was eating his big lunch, but it was no use. Thinking just made him thirsty, so he had another drop of lemonade. I know, he thought to himself. After lunch, I will go and see Mr. Robinson and ask his advice. So after lunch, he left his house and walked to Mr. Robinson's house at the top of the garden. It was quite a long walk for somebody as small as Mr. Small, and halfway there he stopped for a rest. He sat on a peeling hot on bread. A worm crawled by and stopped. "Good afternoon, Mr. Small," said the worm. "Good afternoon, Walter," said Mr. Small to the worm, whom he knew quite well. "Out for a walk, are you?" asked Walter. "Going to see Mr. Robinson," replied Mr. Small. "Oh," said Walter. "About the job," added Mr. Small. "Oh," said Walter on the worm again. The crawled off. Walter was a worm of very few words. After he'd rest for a while, Mr. Small set off again and walked all of the rest of the way to Mr. Robinson's house without stopping once. When he got there, he climbed up the steps to Mr. Robinson's back door. He knocked at the door. Nobody heard him. He knocked again at the door. Nobody heard him. The trouble was, you see, that if you as small as Mr. Small, you don't have a very loud knock. Mr. Small looked up. There, high above his head, was a doorbell. "How can I ring the bell when I can't reach it?" thought Mr. Small to himself. He started to climb up the wall, brick by brick, to reach the bell. He had climbed up 4 bricks when he made the mistake of looking down. "Oh dear," he said, and fell. Bang! "Ouch," said Mr. Small, rubbing his head. Just then, Mr. Small heard footsteps. It was a postman. The postman came to the door, posted his letters, and was just about to leave when he heard a voice. "Hello," said the voice. The postman looked down. "Hello," he said to Mr. Small. "Who are you?" "I'm Mr. Small," said Mr. Small. Will you ring the bell for me?" "Of course I will," replied the postman in answer to Mr. Small's question, and reaching out he pressed the bell with his finger. "Thank you," said Mr. Small. "My pleasure," said the postman, and off he went. Mr. Small heard footsteps coming to the door. The door opened. Mr. Robinson opened the door and looked out. "That's funny," he said. "I'm sure I hear somebody ring the bell." He was about to shut the door when he heard a little voice. "Hello," said the voice. "Hello, Mr. Robinson." Mr. Robinson looked down and down. "Hello," he said. "What are you doing here?" "I've come to ask your advice," said Mr. Small to Mr. Robinson. "Well," said Mr. Robinson, "you'd better come in and have a talk." Mr. Small followed Mr. Robinson into the house and perched on the arm of Mr. Robinson's favorite chair. He told him how he couldn't think of a job that he could do. Mr. Robinson sipped a cup of tea and listened. "So you see," Mr. Small explained, "how difficult it is." "Yes, I can see that," said Mr. Robinson, "but leave it to me." Mr. Robinson knew a lot of people. Mr. Robinson knew somebody who worked in a restaurant and urged for Mr. Small to work there, putting mustard into mustard pots. But Mr. Small kept falling into the pots and getting covered in mustard, so he left that job. Mr. Robinson knew somebody who works in a sweet shop and urged Mr. Small to work there, serving sweets. But Mr. Small kept falling into the sweet jar, so he left the job. Mr. Robinson knew somebody who worked in the place where they made matches and arranged for Mr. Small to work there, packs matches into boxes. But Mr. Small kept getting shut in the boxes with the matches, so he left the job. Mr. Robinson knew somebody who worked on a farm and urged for Mr. Small to work there, sorting out the brown eggs from the white eggs. But Mr. Small kept getting trapped by the eggs, so he left the job. "What are we going to do with you?" Mr. Robinson asked of Mr. Small one evening. "Don't know," said Mr. Small in a small voice. "I've got one more idea," said Mr. Robinson. "I knew somebody who writes children's books. Perhaps you can work for him." So the following day, Mr. Robinson took Mr. Small to meet the man who writes children's books. "Can I work for you?" Mr. Small asked the man. "Yes, you can," replied the man. "Pass me that pencil and tell me all about the jobs you've been doing. Then I will write a book about it. I will call it Mr. Small," he added. "But children won't want to read a book all about me," exclaimed Mr. Small. "Yes, they will," replied the man. They will like it very much. And you did, didn't you? Mr. Daydream. This is a story about Mr. Daydream. You know what he looked like, don't you? Because you've seen his pictures on the front of his book. It's also a story about a little boy called Jack, and you don't know what he looks like, so here's a picture of him. Now, Jack was a very good little boy. He always ate up on his lunch. He always went to bed when he was told. He always said please and thank you, but Jack was a daydreamer. Whenever he was forced to be thinking about something, he found himself thinking about something else, daydreaming. One day, Jack was at school. He was sitting on his desk, listening to the teachers talking about history. It was a very warm day, and Jack was glad. He was sitting at the back of the classroom next to the open window. Suddenly, out of a corner of his eyes, Jack saw something outside the window on the grass in front of the school. Something blue. It was a small cloud-shaped finger. Jack couldn't believe his eyes. A finger looked at Jack, looking at him, smiling and waving. Jack looked at his teacher who was still talking. Then he got up quickly, ever so quickly, and slipped out of the open window. He crossed the grass to the strange-looking cloud-shaped finger. "Hello," he said. "Who are you?" "I'm Mr. Daydream," said the finger. "What's your name?" "Jack," said Jack. "I'm going off on an adventure," said Mr. Daydream to Jack. "Would you like to come with me?" "Oh, yes, please," replied Jack. "Very well, then," Mr. Daydream said, putting 2 fingers to his mouth, and let out the loudest whistle Jack had ever heard in his whole life. A huge bird swooped down out of the sky and landed beside Jack and Mr. Daydream. "Come on," said Mr. Daydream to Jack, and climb on the bird's back. Jack climbed onto. It was a really enormous bird, and there was plenty of room for both of them. "Hold on," said Mr. Daydream. Jack held on tight. The huge bird flapped his huge wings, and suddenly they were high up in the air. They flew faster and faster over the countryside. They flew over flats and fields and farms and towns and hills and trees and valleys until they were far, far away from Jack's school. It was very exciting. Mr. Daydream turned to Jack. "How would you like to go to Africa?" he shouted. They were traveling so fast now, Jack just nodded his head and held on even tighter, and they flew across the sea. Suddenly, it seemed in no time at all, they below them on Africa. The bird landed in the jungle clearing, and Jack and Mr. Daydream climbed off the bird's back. It was very hot. "Come on," said Mr. Daydream to Jack. "Let's go and explore." So off they set, pushing their was through the jungle. Suddenly, in the middle of the clearing, they saw an elephant. "Hello, Mr. Daydream," thrust the elephant down his trunk. Would you like a lift? Yes, please, replied Mr. Daydream, and the elephant reached out his trunk, picked him up, and then put him on his back. Then he reaches out his trunk again, picked up Jack, and put him on his back. It was very high. The elephant climbed them through the jungle until they come to a river. Then he set them down on the ground, said goodbye, and went on off back into the jungle. How are we going to cross the river? Jack asked Mr. Daydream. Perhaps I can be a assistant with a particularly olive voice coming from the river. They looked, and there was a crocodile. Use my back as a bridge, suggested the crocodile. It was very helpful. They were halfway across the river on the crocodile's back when the crocodile grinned a rather noisy grin, all teeth and no smile. Then, flicking his enormous tail and shaking Jack and Mr. Daydream up into the air, the crocodile opened his horribly large mouth and waited. It was very thirsty. Oh dear, gasped Jack as he looked down at the enormous mouthful of teeth. Oh dear, oh help! Mr. Daydream, upside down beside him, put 2 fingers in his mouth and let out that very large whistle of his. Suddenly, just as the crocodile's mouth was about to go snap, the big bird flew down out of the sky. Mr. Daydream and Jack landed right on the bird's back. Phew, said Jack. Bother, said the crocodile. Well, I promised you an adventure, didn't I? Grinned Mr. Daydream. You currently did, said Jack. And now, said Mr. Daydream, I think we will go to Australia. Then they did, and Jack learned to throw a boomerang so that it always come back to him. And now, said Mr. Daydream, I think we will go to the North Pole. And they did, and Mr. Daydream fell right up to his middle in a snowdrift. And now, said Mr. Daydream, I think we will go to the Wild West. And they did, and Mr. Daydream found a huge tangled cowboy hat. The trouble was, when he put it on, he couldn't see out. Jack, he called from underneath the hat. Jack! Jack! Suddenly Jack realized that it wasn't Mr. Daydream saying his name. It was his teacher, and Jack wasn't in the Wild West. He was sitting on his school desk. Jack, said the teacher again, you've been daydreaming. It was true. He had. But do you know something? Daydreaming is more fun than history.